progress.
Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Annie, lovely to see your face. It's great to if you can be on camera. I understand some you might be eating lunch or doing our hair or whatever it is we're doing. But you're welcome as you are, and the more I can see of you, the more interactive this session is. And the more interactive this session is, the more you're going to get out of it. So I'm delighted so many of you are here in person. Connor, hello. Loving the tash, boy. Looking good.
Thanks.
So look, some of you know me, and if you don't, I'm an interactive kind of girl. So some of this session will be you, and some of this session will be me, and some of this session will be us. So if you're listening later or you're listening at home, there'll be moments for you to pause and reflect. And if you're here live today, then there'll be moments for you to interact either via the chat or raising your hand in the good old-fashioned way, or just engaging with the material in a small group setting. So I might pair you up. Well, I will be pairing you up for one exercise. So this is the reason why I'm doing that rather than just being one way is because I'm not going to tell you anything really today that you don't already really know deep down. And that might sound like a cheat. Like, why am I here then? Because I'm your own wisdom. What you get from today, what you hear for yourself is infinitely more useful than anything I'm going to tell you. That's what you're looking for. That's what you're really looking for today. Some new, fresh perspective about you, about life, about how change works. Something that feels settling and reassuring. Something that just feels better. That's what we're looking for. So that is much more about how you're listening than it is. I'm just going to rain equally on everyone. And then something will come alive in you and resonate and click. And that is what you're looking for. And I hope that the journey is enjoyable. And let me just explain to you a little bit about what we'll be doing. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a few slides today. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to be here, how to get the most from today. There's going to be a couple of stories, yours, mine, or mine, yours, and someone else's. So we'll be sharing stories. And those stories are to do with when have we been up against something? Connor, you'll remember this from our leading self days. When have we been up against something? How did we feel? What got us through? And looking back now, what do we see we've learned? What's the golden nugget of wisdom that situation gave us? And it's generally a good idea to have that challenge be something quite far in the past, not hot, not right now, but like in the past, looking back. What do you see that you've learned? So we'll be sharing those stories, and they'll be really important for later on. So the middle bit is me. And I'll be talking to you about what I call the game changer when it comes to leading yourself, when life throws curveballs at you, when there's an unexpected challenge. What can you count on? Where does the ground lie? And how can you have more of it? So that's my little talk. And then at the end, it's very much you, being a wise leader. So you're going to have some advice for you as a result of today and the little journey we go on today. And I've got a little something called future pacing, which is a technical term for what athletes do. When you imagine yourself in a future scenario, fully resourced and wise. And that gives you and your brain and your body an idea of how to navigate the unknown, because you already know how to do it. So we're going to give you a little resourceful 10-minute how to navigate life from your wisest place. And then we'll finish. So that's the journey we're on today. And because I've got some nice slides, I'm just going to show you these 4 slides, and then we'll come back to the group environment. By the way, you're going to get everything that I show you and some stuff I don't as a kind of handout from today. So you'll have a little pack. So you can take notes if you like, but I invite you just to be fully in the session as much as you can. So the first thing, do you remember the barge, Connor? Get on the barge. Sorry, Connor, I'm picking on Connor, but it's only because I haven't seen him and I missed him at the finale of our last program we were on together. Okay, so the first thing to remember is if you're anything like me, and I was just like this 10 minutes ago, you might be living on your speedboat of life where everything's super fast, boom, 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 boom. And it's kind of exciting and it's kind of fun, but there's always something going on, something happening. Now, life is pretty often like that for many of us. For the next 90 minutes, I really would invite you to get on the barge of life, the canal boat, which goes really slowly. Because we don't see so much when we're speeding through our lives. We don't have as much, we're going too fast to see the view. On the barge, we go slower than we can walk and we see more. So if you want to see more from this session today, slow down, be here and get present. It's that simple. And then you might discover that you see more. So the next thing to say is whatever you've got going on, park it at the door and just let yourself be where you are right now. Just be here now as you are with you. So really all of you is welcome. What I mean by that is let yourself be what you are as you are. It's all welcome here. You don't have to share it. You don't have to talk about it, but just let you be with it. There's something becomes available to us when we're not resisting our experience. So you can have a little practice with just letting yourself be wherever you are. There is a way of listening that we can listen that makes a really huge impact to our capacity to be wise, because that's the theme of today. How can we be more wise? How can we lead ourselves? And I would say it's to do with how we listen. And most of us have been highly trained to listen with our intellects and analyze. Do I like it? Do I not like it? Is it good? Is it bad? Do I agree? Do I disagree? And do you know what? There's nothing wrong with that kind of listening. And it's really helpful for certain kinds of decisions, like what kind of wine should I have with dinner? There's an evaluation in it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't have to be listening like that today. You can take that pressure off. You can just listen in a different way to hear what resonates with you, you could say with your heart, what feels right. And if you hear something today and it doesn't make sense to you, that's not for you. Don't worry about it. That's for someone else. You only need to listen out for what resonates for you. And it's a different quality of listening. It's the kind of listening we bring when we're listening to a good friend share their heart. We sort of step out of analysis and we step into something more open. And finally, one of my favorite expressions is be good soil. So like I said, I'm going to rain. And all you have to do to be good soil is receive the nourishment on offer. Some of it will make sense today, some of it later. And trust that what's for you will grow, will nourish your soil and grow something in you. So it's a different kind of learning. We don't have to have our notepads and our pens writing everything down. And I'm not going to stop you. But the real juice and nourishment of this session is to take the pressure off trying to get somewhere. I'm going to drive the barge really slow and you're just going to be good soil and we'll see where it takes us today. And my intention at the end of today, this little session, is that you are settled in your skin knowing there's a place that you have within you that has your back and generates wisdom for you whenever you need it. And just a little glimpse of that today is one of the most hopeful, nourishing things I can offer you. And I'm just going to get on my soapbox in Hyde Park now with my loudspeaker because I can't help myself. In the crazy world we live in, where we don't know what we can actually trust out there anymore, or is that just me? It looks like there's a lot of things that aren't what they seemed, let's say. What do we trust? Where's our ground? And what I have to offer you today is the work of my life. If there was only one thing to know, It's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. And the good news is you've already got it. You've already got this game changer within. So let's go on the journey together and see where that takes us. And for that, I'm going to tell you a story. So I'm going to leave this picture up. That's me 24 years ago. I've got a baby in there. Can you tell? There's a baby. Can you see the 8-month belly in there? There's a baby in there, 8 months. I'm in the house, and that's number 18 Nizels Avenue in Brighton. And when we found that house, it was the best thing. We found our family home. We were renting, we were a young family, but it was opposite the park, St Answell's Garden. It had all these rooms. My mum could stay. I had an au pair, had everything. And it was walk into town, and we painted every single room. And, you know, that I was pregnant, so I was nesting. When my mum visited, you know, we made her room beautiful, wallpapered it. It was a dream. 6 months later, I'm in the office on all fours, wailing like a banshee with a piece of paper in my hand. On that piece of paper, the landlord said, you have to move out. Let's just say that was an unwelcome change. I care a lot about home. I mean, most of us do, but I have a particular, being Cancerian, loving of my home. And we had invested, we prepared the house for the baby. I had a toddler, and there was no inkling that this was going to happen. And I'm just going to say it was an oh no. Oh no, this cannot be happening. I was devastated. I was despair. I felt hopeless. And I absolutely knew that there was no way I would ever find a house that was as good as that. There was no other truth. That was the truth in that moment. And, you know, disbelief, shock. I think you can relate. So that's what happened, and that's how I felt. And in that feeling, everything looked hopeless. And there was no possibility. What got me through that time, I was wise enough to know that the thoughts in my head weren't very helpful. So I talked to other people. I phoned a friend. I phoned a lot of friends. And they were all lovely and reassuring. And they kept saying, it'll be fine. It'll work out. There'll be another option for you. You just can't see it yet. And I'm like, yeah, talk to the hand. I knew that I could never. But over time, sort of, I started to accept the reality of what was happening, and over time, the sort of hope for something better started to filter in. And at some point, I believed that there could be something better. Now, what actually happened? I want to say within a month, there was a house 3 doors down, available, with the same view of the park, and 2 attic rooms at the top that we weren't going to use, which made possible my closest friend Sarah, whose husband had just died, and her 12-year-old daughter were able to come and live with us. And I look back on that time as some of the happiest times of my life. It all works out. But the woman on the floor didn't know that. So this idea of going from oh no to something better is a capacity we all have. And I want to say, about 2-3 weeks ago, my husband said, we have to leave London. We have to give up the house in London. And I was, oh no. And I swear to you, 24 hours later, I was an oh yes. because of an understanding that I'm going to share with you now. So there's a way with understanding we can meet life, and we're still going to have our reactions and our oh no's, but there's a way we can hold it where oh no's can become oh yeses, and it's part of our design. So now it's your turn. And this is how we're going to do this one. You're going to tell your story to one other person, and I'm going to put you in a group. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing as I've just done here. What was a change or a challenge that you had to navigate in your life? And you can choose what you feel comfortable to share. We won't be recording that part. That will just be you with you. And if you're listening at home, just reflect on this, or pause and reflect on it. What was a change or a challenge, and what happened? And how did you feel about what happened? So there was a happened, and then how you felt about it. And now this, you want to have it be something that you look back on. It's no longer hot for you. It's kind of resolved for you now. But when you look back, it was a big deal. But what got you through? So that might be something inside of you or something outside of you, but you notice something got you through that time. What got you through? And then the most important question of all, number 3, and this is where I invite you to spend the most time, because you don't want to spend too much time in one, because that you don't want to wallow there. Don't get too long. Just give the basics. But what got you through, and what do you see now that you didn't see then? And I'm going to call that your golden nugget of insight. And when we come back from our pairs, I'd love to hear, either in the chat or from a couple of you live, what number 3 in a sentence. So for me, we know what happened, how I felt: devastated, shocked, horrified, helpless. What got me through was kind of talking to others and eventually seeing possibility. And then when I look back now, what I couldn't see then is it all works out. It always works out. And I can see that about every challenge and change I've ever been in. It works out. That was my nugget. So I want you to, when you come back to the group setting, a couple of you to share that golden nugget, because that will give us something useful for later. All right. Welcome back, everyone. So hopefully you weren't too rudely interrupted there in mid-sentence, which you probably were. But what that hopefully illuminated for you is that, I'm just going to say it, shit happens. It feels like shit. And our thinking is a bit shit. And then something shifts. Could be somebody says something and it triggers something, or we wake up one day with a new thought, or we feel different, or something shifts. And then the situation looks different to us. The same situation can look completely different. And then I'm going to call that the wisdom of hindsight. When you look back, another word for that, we could call that insight. We see something new about that thing, and it feels better. Now, we've got this built-in capacity to do that. So I just want to hear from a couple of you, if you're willing to. I'm going to pick on Claire, because Claire I don't know if this was the bonus or how good or bad this was, but Claire got me as her buddy. And we had a lovely chat, and her insight was so brilliant. You don't have to tell the story or any of that. Just tell the singular insight that you got from that, Claire, from your experience. What was it?
I think it was a bonus. But it was I'm not my work, and that my happiness is not dependent on it.
I am not my work, and my happiness is not dependent on my work. See, I'm going to put you on the spot, Claire. That insight, has that been impactful, and has that helped you in life?
Absolutely.
And when you look back, does it make sense of that experience for you?
Yes.
See,
I have to keep reminding myself, but yes.
So when we see something differently, we feel different. This is important. So I just want to hear from a couple of you, just the insight, the nugget. Who's going to give me a nugget? You've all got one. I'll pick on you, the ones people I know, so you might as well just tell me. Annie?
I mean, I can.
Oh, Connor?
I can share a little mantra.
Go on then, give me an insight. Not the whole story, Connor, just the insight.
Yeah, I think that a mantra that I constantly remind myself of is, and I don't have a tattoo, but I sometimes consider getting myself a tattoo, which is, it starts and ends with me.
Oh.
And so nothing is truly finished. The outcome is not the outcome until I am content that it is. If it's something that affects my life and what I need from life, well, I decide when I'm at the end state, not the situation that I feel like I'm in that might be driven by other factors or other people.
Connor, I love that. That's true agency. That's you having an insight for yourself, and how impactful just that knowing is, that it starts and ends with you. So that's a golden nugget that you carry with you and keep alive. Is it feedback for everybody on this? Okay, I'm not exactly sure what to do about that. Is that any better?
It's not when you talk, but it's when we talk.
Okay, I'm just going to pause for a second, see if there's something I can do about that. Okay, so can we hear me?
Is that better?
And is that better? Can someone else talk?
Hello? Is it echoing?
No, it's all fixed now. That's much better. Thanks, Claire.
Thank you, guys. Okay, thank you for engaging and making this session even better than it would have been. So one more, let's just have one more little nugget of insight. So we've got, my happiness is not dependent on me. It all works out. It starts and ends with me. Lindsay.
I'm happy to share. There were probably, I'll just be greedy, I think there were two for me. One was, when you're not feeling strength yourself, look up to draw strength from others, from the humanity of others around you, because there's something around not always looking for the support that's actually there. And the second was finding joy, even when things are not great. Find joy in things that you do or things that you love, to bring greater balance and perspective, I think.
I love that. There's help for me. There's a help available. It's not all on me, and I can still find the joy even when the chips are down.
Yeah.
Ah, beautiful wisdom. Gorgeous. So look, it's not like the way your insights work is that they're purpose made for you and what you need to hear. So you might hear something in someone else's insight, or it might pass you by. That might not be relevant for you. But what is true is that those insights that you had were really meaningful and helpful to you. And so really what we're talking about here is your capacity. Your capacity to have insight is the game changer. Your capacity to shift your own perspective and hear your own wisdom is what sees you through everything. And that's what we're going to talk about now. So thank you for engaging with that. So now you have a reference in your own experience of your own self being wise. So you can't tell me you don't have the capacity for wisdom and insight. You do. Might sometimes look like hindsight, might be a bit of a gap in time, but we can increase our capacity for real-time insight, and that's what we're going to talk about now. So when it comes to navigating life and change, we're going to take a little deep dive into this capacity we have to be wise in any situation. And for that, I'm going to tell you another little story. So, sorry, Connor, I know you do like attention, really. So in M&S is one of the clients I work with, and I know Connor from there. And we do a program there called Leading Yourself. And on that program, we ask people at the very beginning, what would be a miracle? What would be a miracle for you? It's kind of the answer to the Spice Girl question. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. And Emma came on one of those early programs, and she said, I absolutely know this is a miracle and I can't have it. And the reason why I say miracle is I want you to think what's just out of reach, what you want, but you just haven't quite managed to have yet. And Emma's like, yeah, this is totally a miracle. I really want it, but I know it's a miracle. And what she wanted was to stand in front of senior leaders at the company where she worked and feel confident and enjoy presenting to them. And that was definitely out of reach for her, because she knew everything there was to know about confident presenting because she'd read it in a book. This is my Kindle. This represents all the knowledge in the world from other people, information, data. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fantastic and super helpful. I mean, if you want to know how to boil an egg, or get from A to B, there's loads of data in here, information, knowledge from others. Now, the thing with Emma was she had got all the coaches. She'd tried all the techniques. She'd done all the strategies. She'd imagine the audience naked. Didn't seem to do anything. She'd done the breathing techniques. But she knew that she could not be a confident presenter and enjoy it. Like, that was just not available for Emma. And the reason why she knew it is because she knew everything about it. Emma could have written her own book on presenting with the amount of knowledge she had from other people. And that's because she was missing something. So I want to call that intellectual knowledge. And intellectual knowledge, I'm not going to distract us with showing a slide, but I will send you the slide. Words that we could use to describe intellectual knowledge, definitely learn from others based on some kind of data or information. We could say facts. Often there's a binary nature to it, right, wrong, good, bad. It's quite cerebral, conceptual, analytical, logical, rational, structured. It's an idea, it's a concept, it's a theory. It works on paper. We often say, oh, that's academic, that works on paper. And we've been trained in the Western world, by our schooling, to really value and prize intellectual knowledge. Now, we're at an interesting juncture in the world today because all of that ChatGPT has now. So that's what I'm talking about, this kind of database in your head powered, what we know, we know. You with me? You know what I'm talking about? Intellectual information. Super, super helpful. But we've been kind of trained in the Western world to think that if we just had the right answer and we knew what to do, if we just spoke to the right expert and follow their 3-point plan, it will be fine. But what we're really doing there is we're looking a little bit outside of ourselves for the answer. And there are times when we need that. Now, Einstein said that this part of us is the rational mind, and it's a great servant, but a terrible master. So there's something else that we need to pay attention to. There's something else that helps us be wiser, that's beyond the intellect. And this is our capacity for our own insightful wisdom. And by contrast, this is my notebook that I write on a good day, every day and every morning. And it's my wisdom. It's my own insights. I write this to myself. It's me with me, making sense of something. I'm going to call that your own insightful wisdom. And it has a different quality of experience than your intellect. And the quality of experience it has is it comes from within, sight from within, insight. People have their own words for it. It is not in the words. Click, pop, hunch, a moment. I just knew. I had a realization. Aha, the penny dropped. Gut feel. Intuition, instinct. Common sense. It feels clarifying. You just know. It takes stuff off your mind. simplifies, can sometimes come out of nowhere. Now this can be a trigger for your insights. Not like this is bad. This can, reading the right person or hearing the right input at the right moment, boo. But this doesn't create change on its own. Ask Emma. There needs to be this other element, this sight from within, this knowing in your bones that gets into the heart of things. It's like an embodied feeling inside of you, and everyone has this capacity, no exceptions. But we can train ourselves out of valuing it. And it is my view, back on the soapbox, this is the single most important thing we need to foster and listen to in the world today. What do we know for ourselves in our deeper, wise being? What is the signal? And the other aspect of this part, this capacity for insightful knowing, this wisdom, it has our best interests at heart. Now, I'm not talking about the noise that goes around our heads when we're feeling terrified. You might hear a signal. You might hear a signal in those moments, but we can hear it more clearly when we're settled down, when we have less on our mind. The signal we hear more clearly. Okay. So, Emma. No word of a lie, true story. She's in my book, actually. Emma is standing on a stage, delivering a presentation, terrified and anxious like she always is, hating it. Suddenly, this is 2 weeks after the program that she does the Leading Self program, she has a game-changing insight. Now be careful, because I'm going to give you some intellectual information, so it may or may not resonate for you, but for Emma, it changed her game. She's standing there and she realizes in real time, I have put all my attention on me and how I'm doing, and none of my attention on the audience, and that they are there to listen to me. They need to hear what I'm telling them. And in that moment of clarity, her attention switches, she gives to the audience, and she comes back 2 weeks later and she goes, I absolutely love that presentation. It wasn't possible for me before. I heard that insight within, that sight from within, and I knew and I effortlessly enjoyed. Now, do you think that someone might have told Emma before that moment, put your attention on the audience, forget about you? You know, that information was available to Emma, but it hadn't dropped into her own wisdom. And when it did, suddenly everything made sense. And you've all got experience of that, because there are little moments and big moments. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about how this works and what is this thing called wisdom? How does it work, and how do I have more of it? And what gets in the way? So that's where we're headed next. But do you feel like you've got enough to distinguish between this kind of from your head powered intellect, really helpful, but it doesn't change your game in the way that your own knowing does, your own capacity for wisdom? Does this make some kind of sense to you? Okay, great. And if it doesn't, I have some resources to send you where you can dig deeper. And in fact, I don't know if Nick Bird remembers this, but she and I did interview series where she interviewed me about wisdom. And we've got, so we can there's a deeper dive on that if you want, and find out more about that. Okay, so what about wisdom? First thing to know is it's a present time phenomena. It happens in the now. We get wisdom in the now for what we need to do or know or feel now. We don't get it for next week. Now, that doesn't mean we don't get wisdom now to go, I'm going on a holiday, I need to book some insurance. That you might get that knowing now. So you do sometimes get forward planning, but we don't get we get wisdom for what is needed right now in this moment, for what we're up to right now. And it's a sort of, it's there, it's designed for you, it's coming from you, for you. and it always has your back. And I was watching a program called, I think I was saying to Nick actually, it's called The Drops of God. It's about wine on Apple. It's a lovely little program. And there's a Japanese guy in there. And he shares a Japanese proverb that really struck me when I heard it. He was one of the characters was really anxious and thinking a lot about the future. And the Japanese character said back to her, "The winds of tomorrow will blow tomorrow. The winds of tomorrow will blow tomorrow." So you can't deal with the winds of tomorrow today because they're not blowing today. But when they're blowing, then the kite of wisdom will be there for you. And you can trust that. You can trust this capacity. And the good news is, I feel like I get so lucky to share with people the good news. This is the good news. You want a good day? You know, when you're in your lane and I don't know, I sometimes feel like the world is falling at my feet and everyone's smiling at me and doing what I want, which is basically my version of a good day. And, everything feels good. And I get ideas and everything just falls into place. And yeah, that kind of in flow, in alignment. That's the real you. That's the real you. That's the energy of the essence of the true you. You on a good day is the real you. Now look, we're going to talk about bad days in a minute. Not going to lie, we all have bad days, but that's more of a temporary version of you. The real you is just you being your creatrix self, or whatever it is that is the real you. And there's no effort. There's nothing, you're not trying to be a version of yourself that you think you should be. You're just being in alignment with you. I'd say what you feel in those moments, I'm going to say connected. You're connected with yourself and or connected with others. There's just a connection. There's no thinking about it. There's just a sense of connection. And there's often a connection with something greater, whatever that means for you. So in a way, when we're connected with ourselves, others, or something greater, we're in alignment with something. And I want to say that all that noise of our brains, our snow globe, represents our little brains. People ask me to stop doing this because they go, this is like my head. It is obscuring the signal. That's the noise. I call that the noise. But when we're in alignment with ourselves, when we're just being, we can hear the signal. And that's true for us all. It's in the human design. Now, we're going to talk about bad days. What's going on? What's in the way of all of that? We were having a little chat, Claire and I, about that. About the noise that's out there. Go faster, do more, be better. I'm just going to leave that there. I was thinking the other day, I lie in the bath. I've stopped using my phone in the bath, but I bring my Kindle and I read. Or I go for a walk and I stick in earphones for my podcast. We're so easily distracted by things that wanting our attention. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying the stiller and calmer we are inside, the more we can hear the signal. That's all I'm saying. And sometimes it's fine. It's fine to be on the speedboat and busy and buzzy. But if you really want to connect with yourself and really know a thing, settling. So what gets in the way? Well, I'm going to say being in our heads gets in the way. What am I going to do? How's that going to go? How am I supposed to be? What should I be doing? This is the human condition. It's not just you. We all have those moments. What are we feeling that we don't want to feel? Resistance. What might be happening next week, next month, next year? What if I don't have enough to live on in my pension? This is a thought that comes around in my head from time to time. Nick Bird and I talk about it on the sofa sometimes. Well, the winds of tomorrow will blow tomorrow. That doesn't mean don't do some practical common sense things around my pension, but it's like, it's not happening now. We can get ideas of how we should be, other people should be, life should be. And in that resistance to what is, there's a lot of noise. That is what gets in the way of us hearing the signal. Our thinking about how life should be. Needing to prove something to other people, needing to please others. Ultimately, feeling this sense of pressure. These are all clouds that can get in the way of this signal. I call that the noise. I'm just going to characterize them as shoulds. Life, me, and other people should be different than the way that they are for me to be happy right now. That's a lot of the noise. And most of that we've learnt, because should's another word for that, expectation. Most of us have learned what we can expect of ourselves, others, the world from our upbringings, our cultural context, the norms of society, that fill in the blank. But probably the first 7 years of your life is when you got a lot of ideas about you and how you should be, and you probably didn't even consciously choose them. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about what really gets in the way. So we're talking about change and uncertainty and challenge, and I think there's a lot of that in the world right now. And that creates a lot of, I should know what I'm doing. I should know what's going to happen. Can you see how it's so sneaky? Start paying, give yourself the challenge of start noticing whenever the word should comes out your mouth. Just see, where did that come from? Do I really think that? Just sort of loosen up a little around your shoulds. But here's what's going on. So there's how life is, how you are, how others are, what's so I call it. And then there's how you think it should be, your expectation. We've all got places like that. The gap is your stress. How it is, how you think it should be. Now, when they're the same, happy days. But often they're not. I don't know, other people, it's so annoying. So how it is, I was screaming. I mean, this is not pretty. I probably shouldn't have this on the recording. But I was screaming at my son because he has the bedroom where the printer is, which I wanted to print out my notes before this talk. Let's just say the printer was not in the state in which I left it, and nor could I switch it on. So I wasn't my best self. How it was versus how it should be, the gap was my stress, which in my case involved screaming. Anyway, moving on. Luckily, my son knows me and forgives me. But it was not my finest moment. I'm just being honest. We've all got them. This is why I'm telling you this. Me too. Now, we can do two things. We can do everything, this is what most of us are trained to do, to make reality fit how we think it should be. Other people, the printer, in this case I actually did do that, but I was ready to let it go. We do a lot of things to make life be, us be, other people be, how we think it should be. That's involves effort. This is so obvious, right? The obvious thing here is, this is how it is, this is how it should be. We let go of how it should be and we embrace how it is. These are the two ways to reduce our stress. Does this make sense to you guys? So stress, another word for stress is an uncomfortable feeling of pressure. It comes from the engineering term. You know, engineers test the stress. It's a pressure, and we feel it as an uncomfortable feeling of pressure. And when we feel that pressure, we often, the uncomfortable part is important. We often can't hear our own signal. But here's the other thing. When we're kind of occupied in this middle stress piece, we are terrible fortune tellers. We think we know what's going to happen in the future. But what if this happens? But what if that happens? And our mind, when we're in a stressful moment, creates, some of us have a tendency towards catastrophic thinking, imagining the worst possible scenario. And because our minds are so brilliant and clever, it creates that scenario, makes us feel as if it's happening right now. And all of that is a function of our stress and our feeling of pressure inside. It's creating a kind of story. And the story it's creating often can be this worst possible thing. I mean, look, I've had it. I've had sleepless nights about, my 80-year-old self having no money and being a bag lady. I don't think that's really, really going to happen. But there are times when my brain thinks it is. Thank God for my sons. I better stop yelling at them, actually. We forget when we're in that stress place, we forget that we have the capacity to see anew, to shift our perspectives, to put on a new lens, because everything looks exactly like we think it does when we're stressed. It's going to be the end of the world. And that looks real. And we forget when we're in stress that we can also have a fresh perspective about the same thing and feel differently. Even though we know that normally, but we don't know that when we're in that state of mind. We forget. And we forget that we have wisdom and the inbuilt capacity to navigate whatever life throws at us. We were designed to do that. We were designed to come home to ourselves and sniff the wind and see what's wanting to happen right now. We've forgotten that we have absolutely everything we need. We've forgotten that we have wisdom. So how can we have more? Is the $60 million question I can hear you asking. Recently, I've been studying or reading about studies that have been done about this thing called insight. How does it work? And there was some studies done around how do you what are the best conditions? And I'm going to quote from that. You cannot change the conditioned mind with the conditioned mind. Einstein said, you cannot solve the problems that have been created with the same thinking that created the problem. You have to have a shift. And for the shift, you have to make space. Space has to be opened up so that an aha moment has a place to land. So again, I'll put that in your notes. But you have to make space. This is the answer to everything. You have to make space in yourself. So how do we make space? Well, the first thing we do is we notice that we're overthinking it. You know how we notice that we're overthinking it? Because we're doing what we do when we're having a bad day. So we all have bad day behaviors. I'll tell you mine. You don't have to tell me yours. But we're having a bad day. We have certain things we do. Some people get shouty. Some people get impatient. Some people get hypercritical. Some people get chaotic. Some people get overpleasy. Some people hide. Some people work harder. Some people, I've said nitpick, forget about themselves and put all their attention on everyone else. We all have our own little habits of behavior. That's fantastic because that's giving you the clue that you may not be thinking clearly. Your bad day version of you, nothing wrong with it, but you might want to take it into account that you've got some stressful feelings. So first of all, notice. Because some of us are just so used to being stressed, that's the norm. Notice that you're busy or stressed, and you'll feel it. So that's step number 1. This might sound flimsy, but I know Rebecca's on the call, and I know she knows a lot about this, and these words will mean a lot to people who have really engaged deeply with these words. But trust me, it's everything, what I'm going to say now. When you notice, pause and breathe. Viktor Frankl, he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. He said, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And all you have to do is allow yourself to see that you've created a noisy mind. Pause. Pause. Do not act from that place. Pause. Breathe. Come back into your body. Because for a minute, you got caught up in your head. Come back into your body. Breathe. Let yourself settle. People say, how do I stop? How do I stop the snow globe? How do I stop? How do I stop? Well, how do you stop a snow globe? If you want to see the snow, what's behind, you let it settle, right? You just let yourself be where you are, as you are, feeling what you're feeling. Breathe. Let it settle. Do what makes sense. Sometimes let's go for a walk. Sometimes that's phone a friend. Sometimes it's get on with your to-do list. Sometimes it's leave your to-do list alone. Sometimes it's someone else. Sometimes it's with you. Sometimes it's do a piece of art. That instruction will come from you, within you. If you ask yourself, what do I need right now to settle? You'll know. You'll know. Most useful question you can ask yourself, what do I need right now? When you know that you've lost your mind. And in the space, you can hear the signal. This part of you can get your attention, that knows what you need, this part of you that has your back, and you'll know because it feels right. It just feels simple, clarifying. It's clear. And sometimes we have to wait a while. Sometimes we get ahead of ourselves. I've been waiting for 2 years to know whether or not to stay in the London house. 2 years I've been waiting further instructions. 2 years. Then my husband says, I'm calling it. And then I'm like, okay, it's clear now. This is the thing. And after 24 hours of not this, I went, oh yeah. So sometimes we don't get the answers we think we should get when we think we should get them. That's okay. It's not the time. The winds of tomorrow will blow tomorrow. So, some of us on this call are leaders, or we have families, or we work with other people, or people always go, yeah, I'm really interested in this. And how do I help my team be more wise? How do I help my family be more wise? How do I help my colleagues be more wise? How do I help? And I'm going to say this one thing: go first. When you settle you'll settle others around you. It's the single most useful thing you can do. So now we want to move to the you part now. So now I just want you to take a minute with you and your notebook or whatever you've got to write on. And I just want you to having reflected on today, what we've talked about, what insight is, wisdom, the nugget that you got from your challenge. Just reflecting on everything today, just see what's alive in you right now. What advice would you give yourself for next time you find yourself with the ground shifting under you, when you feel like there's an unwelcome change or challenge? What advice would you give yourself? Just make a little note of that. And I want to hear from a few of you. I'm going to literally give you a minute to do this. So just take a minute with you now. What's the simple advice you would give yourself?
Was to pause reflect and trust that the answer's inside of me and will surface at the right time.
How beautiful. How simplifying.
And that's served me well for the last 6 years since I last spoke to you.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad that insight lived on and on. Oh, anyone else want to share? Because I've been picking on people. Anyone else want to say what their little nugget is from advice for themselves going forward? You're happy? You're happy with what you have? Okay. So what you should have now is just something reassuring, settling, which is your wisdom for you. And you might have been heard something today, or it might have just been something that popped in your head. It doesn't matter. What matters is you've got that, and that is all you need to navigate life, is to know that you have this capacity to know what is needed in any moment. So I'm going to do that last thing I said, which is this thing called future pacing. Now, if you've got an object, I don't know if you received the instructions. Some people seem to think it was 60 minutes today. It was 90. So apologies for how that wasn't clearer. But in the instructions, I asked you to bring an object if you had one. And if you don't have one, it's absolutely fine. I just want you to use your hands. So you've got an object with you. I want you to hold it. And if you haven't got an object with you, I'm going to ask you to use your hands. So what I'd like you to do is just take a minute now and really connect with that wisdom that you had for yourself. We've heard what people said. So just take a moment now, see what you've written, this advice to yourself, let it land in you, and notice how it feels when you say those words. And notice how it moves you towards a sense of security. And what I'd like you to do now is just close your eyes. And if you want to go off camera to do that, that's fine. And imagine a moment in the future. And in that moment, you're feeling unsettled and uncertain. And it's some kind of change that you're navigating. A crossroads you don't yet fully know how to handle. What feels at stake? Just let yourself feel that for a moment. And now, bring back your words, your own wisdom to yourself, and let those words come alive in you. And allow those words to enter. And notice what shifts in your breathing, in your posture, in your thinking, in your perspectives, in how you feel. Just embody that belief now in your body. And notice how you stand, how you see the situation. And notice how you respond. Notice what is different when you come from this belief, this advice. You are leading yourself from the inside out, not forcing, not controlling. You are letting your wisdom lead. Turn that feeling up. Let your nervous system register it. And as it strengthens, put your thumb and your forefinger together and hold it tightly. This is creating an anchor for you, locking in this state, locking in this belief, locking in this moment. And take a breath. And when the real moment should arrive, you can connect this moment by putting your finger and thumb together, and your body will remember this moment, your wisdom. And when you're ready, you can come back to the room, open your eyes, and maybe just give you a little challenge. Put those words of wisdom somewhere to remind you, on a post-it note, on the fridge, in your notebook, somewhere where you will be surprised by them. And you can know that you already have everything you need. So, in summary, the more we have on our mind, the more stressful feelings we have inside, the harder things feel, the less clear we are. That doesn't mean that there isn't information in all of that, and that's a lot longer conversation, which I will be exploring on the Wise Leader Circle. I'm also going to send you some resources that talk about this. But we tend to be disconnected, preoccupied, lost in thought, distracted, and lots of thinking about how everybody else, we should be, others should be, the world should be. When we have less on our mind, we hear our wisdom. It's easier. You can be your true self. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. You can let your wisdom lead.